Hi.
Hi. This tutorial video is going to cover changing the status of items within the staff client. So we are looking at a record in Koha that we may need to change the status to damaged, withdrawn, lost, and that is accessible through the left-hand side, this items tab. This is primarily one of those circulation functions where maybe you went to the shelf, the item wasn't on the shelf and you want to mark it missing. Or a patron came up to you and said they lost their book and you need to set that as lost. Once you hit this items tab on the left, you'll be provided with some brief information about the item itself. Now, I actually created two items on this record, just so you could see that there is, when you go to the items, if there are multiple items, barcode here, and then the barcode here. So you actually have two items, just so you want to.
Yeah. So the one thing I really like about the items tab is it's really driven for the circulation user, because you can easily come in here, as Kelly mentioned, and quickly change a status. So let's talk about some of the first ones. So like, let's say a book comes back and it's damaged. Maybe there is highlighting on the inside of it, or needs to be sent off because it's become detached from the spine, whatever it may be. You'll notice if Kelly hits that drop down, you have two options, damaged or mending. So if we change one to, let's say, mending, and then hit that set status over there on the right-hand side, that will update the item's status. So now if we go back up to the top and we hit that normal tab, that will show us the holdings table where we can see the view of the item, and now the status has changed to mending. So statuses in Koha are really important, because that's where you're going to tell right away what's going on with the item. Is it available? Is it checked out? Is it on hold? Damaged, lost, missing, anything in this, in transit from one location to another. So let's talk about a second one. Let's talk about our lost statuses. So in that same place where you see that damaged, now we have four statuses here. So the first is going to be missing. That book is gone. We can't find it right now. You can mark it missing. The second would be lost. That means, okay, maybe somebody came in and they told you they lost it. They can't find it right now. Depending on what your policy is, either you give it a little time, maybe it's somewhere on the shelf, it got misplaced. We don't know where it's at. They left it in the trunk of their car, underneath their dorm room bed. Who knows? It may be lost. Long overdue lost. That's the third status. This essentially can be triggered in your system after a period of time, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 45 days, whatever your policy is, it will automatically be updated in the system. So what the system does is it runs a cron job. Every day that cron job runs, and it looks to see if an item has not been returned after X amount of days. So again, depending on what the policy is, every night that cron job will run, and it'll say, if this book is overdue by 45 days, automatically mark it long lost overdue. Again, I'm just using that 45 days as an example. The final status is lost and paid for. And what that tells the system is, okay, the student came in, it was lost, and they've paid the X amount of fines or replacement fee, processing fee for that item. So those are the four different statuses that you can set. Our final status is withdrawn. So if you hit that drop-down menu, you can see there's an option to mark it withdrawn. And other things you can do from the item status here is the public and non-public note. So Kelly, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So if for whatever reason your circulation staff needs to add a public note to an item or a non-public note to an item, they can do so from this item tab as well. So you can change the status, but you can also add information that will be helpful to the rest of the staff and potentially to your users. If you added something as a public note, say you were having some sort of event and you wanted to note that this was a book that was going to be talked about, you could add this as a public note. If you wanted to add a non-public note about potentially this is going to be pulled off for reserve in December, so it's just a staff related note, you can do that here. So let me just put this is a public note so we can see how that displays. Just like with your set statuses, you'll have to hit that set status. I'm going to hit update, and that will be reflected once we go to the holdings table. Once I'm done with that, then I can hit that normal, bringing us back to the normal view. And we can still see that's the item that Jesse marked mending. And this is the item I marked with a public note. So then that will be revealed there.
Perfect.
This item tab is super helpful, as Jesse said, during circulation, just to make something, change a status really quick, do a quick update without having to really go into the cataloging module.
Awesome.